Warning! This video goes into a lot of depth on Konami rulings and things which basically never actually happen in Trinity. This video is really only relevant if you're in a ruling dispute between Geminis and Noble Knights. If you're new to Trinity, this video is pretty much irrelevant to watch. Generally, the summon limit is pretty easy to understand. Neither player can normal or special summon effect monsters more than 3 times each turn. However, there are a few rare cards which the game doesn't always treat as effect monsters. This makes the ruling much more complex, but only in these fringe cases. For example, look at Noble Knight Boars. This card is treated as a normal monster or face up on the field. So, does it count towards the summon limit? I'll tell you the answer first and then get into the reasoning behind it. In essence, Boars never counts towards the limit, but if you've already hit the limit, you can't summon him. Here's why. When figuring out whether a successful summon will count towards the limit, look at what its status, effect or non-effect is, after it's summoned. So we successfully summon Boars and then check its status. He's a normal monster while face up on the field, so he doesn't count. Easy peasy, for now. There's more. When attempting to summon a monster, look at what its status, effect or non-effect is before it's summoned. So if you've already reached the summon limit, you're not allowed to attempt to summon any effect monsters. That makes sense, right? Boars is an effect monster before it's summoned, so if you've already reached the summon limit, you can't attempt to summon Boars. In essence, Boars never counts towards the limit. However, if you've already hit the limit, you can't summon him. Might sound weird at first, but it is logical. There are a few cards out there which are kind of like the inverse or opposite of Boars. Here's one of them, Simorgh, Bird of Ancestry. This card is treated as a normal monster while in your hand. So, does this count towards the summon limit? Simorgh reads as the opposite of Boars and, as you might expect, has pretty much the opposite ruling as a result. Simorgh always counts towards the summon limit. Also, if you've already hit the limit, you can still attempt to summon her and she will get summoned. Here's why. When figuring out whether a successful summon will count towards the limit, look at its status of effect or non-effect after it's summoned. So we successfully summon Simorgh, then check its status. She's an effect monster while face up on the field, so she always counts as an effect monster summon. Pretty straightforward. But when attempting to summon a monster, look at what its status, effect or non-effect is before it's summoned. So if you've already reached the summon limit, you're not allowed to summon any more effect monsters. Lucky for you, Simorgh is a normal monster while in your hand, she's not an effect monster while in your hand. This means that if you've already hit the summon limit, you can still attempt to and successfully summon Simorgh. This actually means that you could have 4 effect monster summons in a turn, as long as the last one is Simorgh, since when you're attempting to summon it, it's not an effect monster. In essence, Simorgh always counts towards the limit. However, if you've already hit the limit, you can still summon her. Again, it might sound weird at first, but after you think about it for a little bit, it really does make sense. Here's the final example. Gemini Monsters. While a Gemini monster is face up on the field or in the graveyard, they're normal monsters. Everywhere else they're effect monsters, in the deck, in the hand, banished, whatever. Similar to Boars, Geminis will never count towards the summon limit, because they're normal monsters while on the field. But you can't attempt to summon them from anywhere except the graveyard if you've hit the limit. It's really just the same as Boars, we've already discussed this. The only other ruling to learn here is the weird Gemini mechanic whereby you summon a Gemini who's already face up on the field. Let's look at the guidelines one more time. When attempting to summon a monster, look at what its status, effect or non-effect is before it's summoned. Geminis are normal monsters while on the field, so you're always able to summon them. When figuring out whether a successful summon will count towards the limit, look at what its status is after it's summoned. After it's Gemini summoned, it's now an effect monster, which means that it does count as a point towards the summon limit. Easy. On the topic of Gemini summoning will always count towards the limit, but you're able to do it even if you've hit the summon limit. I don't think I've ever actually played with or against a meta deck where these rulings are relevant, but they do exist. The only meta-relevant card I can think of which uses these rulings is Dragon Spirit of White, though the Red Eyes Gemini monster is also played in a lot of Dragon Ruler decks. This video is really just a reference point for hardcore Gemini mirror matches. If you've got a suggestion for any other ruling video, be it TCG or Trinity, comment below and I'll try to make it at some point. Otherwise, stay below the summon limit.